Hey everyone, this is Codemic here, and welcome to this exciting episode of Abandoned History with guest star, the 8-Bit Guy. That's right, for the first time in Abandoned History's history, we have a guest star on the show. I'm a really big fan of the 8-Bit Guy, and we'll be hearing from him in a little bit, but first let's talk about today's topic. So today's topic is the Apple Ibook. The Ibook line was this iconic laptop of the late 90s and early 2000s that helped re-establish Apple as a juggernaut in the consumer laptop business. With early models having such colors as tangerine, key lime, and blueberry, it was truly a sight to see. So what happened to cause Apple to abandon the Ibook brand in 2006? Did it have something to do with the switch to Intel chips? Find out on this episode of Abandoned History. To really understand the Ibook line as a whole, you have to first realize who the target audience was. Apple was really going for a lower priced consumer laptop that could be a hit with their legacy education market, as well as the consumer market, something that could stand separate from the Pro line. With its simplified 4-box sales strategy, Apple had narrowed its line down to PowerPC laptops, their new iMac, and the Power Mac G3. What was missing here was a consumer laptop that could target the mass market, and that changed on June 21st, 1999, when Steve Jobs unveiled the laptop that would take the company into the new millennium, the Ibook G3, as we can see it being revealed right here. The newly unveiled Ibook G3 was really a revolutionary device for its day, having standard Ethernet ports, a modem, and even a built-in optical drive. The Ibook G3 was the first mainstream computer designed and sold with an integrated wireless networking card. You can really see the dawn of the mobile age coming through with this feature. Looking back on it now, and even today, the Ibook G3 has a very polarizing design. It's something that you either love or hate with its unique design, relying heavily on clear plastics as most of Apple's products did in the day. Another feature to add to its unique design was the fact that it had a handle on the back. That really makes it easy to carry the laptop, but that's definitely not something you see that's very common with laptops nowadays. So besides the handle, a really unique part of the iBook is actually the power supply. So the 8-Bit Guy is going to show us what exactly the power supply to an original iBook looks like.
So even the power supply to the clamshell is very elegant and a very unusual design. I love the way that the cable wraps around inside, almost like a UFO or a yo-yo, as some people call the adapter, which is really pretty cool.
On May 21st, 2001, Apple unveiled the next generation iBook. Looking at the differences between the original iBook G3 and this revised model, you can really see Apple's design start to mature. The company ditched their iconic colored plastic that they'd been using since the new iMac for a more simpler and clean, white plastic look. The new iBook was also 30% smaller than the previous generation, while also adding another USB port, so sometimes you'll hear this generation be referred to as the dual USB port iBook line. Apple called their new Snow design twice as durable as the previous line, and overall it was a large improvement for the iBook brand. No longer was it seen as a toy, but truly a modern product ready for the mainstream. This design of the iBook continued to receive processor and memory updates for the next few years. We'll hear a little bit more about this particular generation of iBook in a few minutes from the 8-Bit Guy. The final laptop in the iBook line was announced on October 22nd, 2003, with the blazing fast new Ibook G4. This iteration of the iBook kept the classic Snow design of the G3, but beefed up the internal specs with the new G4 processor. Among other changes announced with this model was the replacing of the standard disk tray with a slot-loading optical drive. So the iBook G4 proved to be the last of the venerable iBook line, as no direct iBook successor was ever announced. The Ibook G4 and thus the line itself was discontinued on May 16, 2006 with the release of the Apple MacBook. So the MacBook line you could really see is the successor to the iBook line. So just what happened to the iBook and why was it discontinued? I'm now going to hand it over to the 8-Bit Guy to discuss why he thinks the iBook line was ended after such a successful run.
So as to why Apple abandoned this design in favor of this one, for one thing, it is kind of a polarizing design. Like you said earlier in the video, people either love it or they hate it. Now, I happen to love it. It's extremely rugged. So I can see why they were appealing to schools, because schools have always wanted things that are rugged because, let's face it, students often don't take care of school equipment very well. But I do think that maybe businesses looked at these and thought they looked like toys. And so I think when they went with this design, it was to try to appeal to perhaps a wider audience. And, I like these iBooks too, but, and they do incorporate most of the same philosophy as the clamshell as far as integrating everything onto the logic board and then not having any real expansion beyond that. But they certainly lacked the aesthetic design and the ruggedness of the clamshell design.
So one of my main theories for the reason that Apple discontinued the iBook name was because of the transition from PowerPC architecture to Intel. So let's see what the iBook guy thinks about that particular theory and if there's really any truth behind that.
I would originally say it was because of the switch from PowerPC to Intel, but when I look at some of the other products they had, like the iMac and the Mac Mini, those products carried over from the PowerPC era into the Intel era, and they kept the same names. So why the iBook disappeared in favor of the MacBook, I really don't know. So one of the things that they did when they went to the MacBook is they got rid of the 4x3 display and went to a widescreen display, which was kind of becoming the standard with laptops at that time. They also, of course, changed to the Intel processor, and they also went from the old IDE standard, the parallel standard, to the serial standard. And a lot of internal changes, but nothing that I can think of would really warrant changing the name of the product.
So there you have it. Even the iBook guy himself can't really say exactly why the iBook line was abandoned. I guess we really will never know unless you can go ask Steve Jobs, but I don't think you'll have much luck doing that anymore. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Abandoned History. If there's one thing that's certain about the iBook line is we probably won't ever see it again, and it truly is a piece of abandoned history. I'd like to give a huge thank you to the iBook guy for collaborating with me. He's really awesome to work with, really nice guy, and thanks for sending me all that awesome footage to use, and maybe we can work together on future projects. So this has been Codemic, and don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, and I will see you all real soon.